In the current environment, so what is your strategy to manage costs while growing a business?
Cost is, you can't look at cost in isolation. You have to look at the overall business and use various levers of cost as enablers for improving your returns. So what I'm trying to say is that it's not that you should look at expenses and cost as something whereby you can focus on that. I think you need to look at cost in a much broader sense. So there are three important elements of this particular subject. The first is in the financial services business, you can control or you can manage cost very effectively if you have a good risk management framework, and which is very important because that will determine your credit quality. So credit losses, that is also a cost in this business. So how do you manage that? So you need to have a good quality enterprise-wide risk management framework. That is number one. The second important aspect is that the raw material of this industry is interest, your cost of borrowing. And I think you must have a robust system of managing that cost. In today's environment, particularly when interest rates are at a very high level, it's extremely important to make sure that you borrow at the right time, from the right sources and at the right cost. That is very critical, and it's a tough job because the entire last year we have seen interest rates continuously going up. So under these circumstances, how do we make sure that you use your skills of borrowing effectively? And the third important element of cost is continuous improvement in productivity. And this productivity word sometimes we use in the context of manufacturing companies. That is wrong. Actually, we should look at productivity in a broader sense. It's actually efficiency improvement. You see, financial services business largely depends on individuals or people. It's a completely people-oriented business. So how do we constantly make sure that people become more and more efficient and productive? So the same people can give you much better results. It can be either done through training, or constant inputs, job rotation, or organizational change. Because you may be running a business in a particular manner. It is possible that you can change the organization structure so that you are able to increase or improve the productivity of people. So I think I'm just mentioning very broad things, but it's a very important subject in today's context if one is focusing on returns.
What systems or process do you have in place to know the key data points or information in order to take those crucial decisions?
See, information and knowledge is very, very vital. These two elements are extremely important for decision making, and therefore there are a number of things one needs to do. The first point is you need to have systems and processes which constantly enable you to improve. I'll just give you one small illustration. In our company earlier in L&T Finance particularly, which is a largely retail business, we used to have decentralized decision making for credit. That means the customer acquisition as well as credit appraisal was done in a decentralized manner. In the last couple of years, we have brought about a substantial change in this. So today, while we have more than 700 points of presence in the country and 100 full-fledged branches, the credit decision or approvals are centralized. And there's two things. It improves your internal controls because the front-end sales staff is deeply connected with the customer. So from an internal control perspective, it is important that the customer acquisition and the credit decision are separate. So this is one change which we brought about, and we introduced effective IT systems to manage this so that there are no delays. See, there is a danger if you are centralizing credit decisions. There is a danger of delay. We focused on the turnaround time, and today we have one of the finest systems in the country for doing this. Secondly, I think you also need to constantly use tools of analytics. And in all the businesses, we use it very, very effectively, which means that the businesses get early warning signals if there are problems. Businesses also know whether there is an industry segment which is going through a problem, or a customer market is going through some problem, or a region whether there are any difficulties. You must be aware, last year there was a huge problem in India, and that is still continuing in terms of iron ore mining. And some of the equipment which we finance is for this particular industry. And in some states there was a ban on mining because of illegal mining and several issues. As a result of which many customers who were buying this equipment and to whom finance was being given had difficulty in servicing. So analytics help you to sense these problems. Either you can reduce your exposure or shift from that particular territory to some other territory. So this is an extremely important tool which we use effectively. The third, of course, is the entire IT platform which we have. And that IT platform, there are several ways in which we can improve.
So what is the status of your banking license, and what unique positioning is the company planning in the Indian banking sector?
This is a very hypothetical question, because we do not know what is going to happen in terms of new licenses. RBI has issued draft guidelines. They have not yet issued the final guidelines. They are awaiting a change or an amendment in the Banking Regulation Act, which is pending in the Parliament. So we understand that after that amendment bill is passed, probably they will take a call in terms of issuing final guidelines. So all will depend on the final guidelines, the conditions in that, whether we fit into that, all that. All what I can say is that the manner in which we have built our businesses in the last 5 years, we have kept this at the back of our mind, that eventually sometime in the future this business should get seamlessly transitioned into a bank. That's the way in which we have built the portfolio. So that's why we have also chosen to be a diversified company rather than a one niche product company. So today I do not know when that is going to happen. I can only say that we are building our businesses in such a manner that sometime in the future it should be possible for us to transfer this.
So what would you describe as the catalyst that has transformed the way one does financial services business today?
Well, there are several factors which have influenced the financial services business. And there has been a sea change in the manner in which this business is done today. The first important point is that the regulations all over the world have undergone tremendous change. Thanks to the problems which we saw in 2008 and even before that in the financial services sector, and also subsequently the events which have unfolded, regulators have becoming much more vigilant in terms of financial services sector. So what that means is it is expected that this will be again, this is currently also, and it will continue to be highly regulated industry. And regulations will demand higher capital. Regulations will also, that means comfortable capital adequacy. Regulation will demand good governance. They will also demand systems and processes, technology, usage of technology. All these factors are going to influence the business going forward, and it is today also it is influencing, because for example, today those who are innovating and those who are using technology effectively are able to get market share in many of these sectors. So that is number one. The second important point is the competition in this industry is also increasing, because there are new players coming. And if you consider our industry, which is non-banking finance company, the kind of business which we do and the business which is done by a bank, there is hardly any difference. So banks are emerging as our major competitors in this, which means that you have to be much more efficient, because banks have some advantage in terms of cost of borrowing, and we borrow from them. So I think if you want to be profitable and if you want to produce good returns I think you have to make sure that your operating costs are kept under control. Secondly, you come out with some innovative models of dealing with, and also make sure that you are very customer focused. You constantly come out with new products, adjacencies. The third point which is there is the globalization, the entire globalization, in the sense that the financial services players also want to play in the international market. The India being a growth story, and it is a fact that leave aside what is happening currently, I think in the past as well as in the foreseeable future, India will be one of the growth stories in the world. So the international players also want to play in India. So I think people are also learning from each other and trying to follow best practices, which is also helping the industry.